You probably think you have complete control over your finances. You earn your money, pay your taxes, and decide where the rest goes. But what if a hidden economic engine, built from wars your grandparents' generation fought, is still quietly steering the price of your gas, the value of your savings, and even the quality of the roads you drive on? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a system designed for conflict that is still pulling wealth from your pocket every single day. And today, we're exposing the 5 most shocking ways it controls your wallet. Let's start with something you feel every week: the price of gas and groceries. Why do they swing so wildly? You might blame supply chains or the latest crisis, but a huge part of the answer lies in a system born in the 1970s, the petrodollar. After the US left the gold standard, it struck an arrangement with Saudi Arabia and other major oil producers. The deal was simple. They would price their oil in US dollars. In exchange, the US offered military protection and support. This wasn't just about oil. It created a permanent, massive global demand for US dollars. Any country needing oil first had to get its hands on American currency. This system effectively turned the dollar into the world's default currency, giving the United States a massive economic advantage. For decades, oil-rich nations recycled these petrodollars back into the U.S. by buying treasury bonds, which helped fund the U.S. government's budget deficits, including its enormous military spending. But here's the kicker for your wallet. Some economists argue this constant global demand allows the U.S. to create more money to cover its expenses, which contributes to long-term inflation. As more dollars enter the system, the value of the dollars in your bank account slowly erodes. So when you see prices creeping up, it's not just today's headlines. It's partly the echo of a 50-year-old system built on the link between oil, the dollar, and military power. While recent moves by countries like China and Russia to trade in other currencies are putting the system under pressure, its legacy of quietly taxing your savings is still very much with us. Every April, you pay your taxes. Ever wonder where that money really goes, especially when local roads and services feel neglected? Well, a massive chunk is what you could call a hidden tax, paid to what President Eisenhower warned about back in 1961, the military-industrial complex. This is a well-documented triangle of influence between the Pentagon, the giant corporations that make weapons, and the politicians who approve the budgets. The fiscal year 2025 defense budget request was a staggering $849.8 billion. That's roughly half of the entire federal discretionary budget, the money Congress decides how to spend each year. Watchdog reports have tracked how this money flows. One analysis from the Costs of War project shows that from 2020 to 2024, private firms received $2.4 trillion in Pentagon contracts. How does this happen? Influence. The defense industry spends enormous sums on lobbying and campaign donations to keep the money flowing. This creates what critics call a revolving door, where former Pentagon officials and members of Congress take high-paying jobs with these same defense contractors. A 2023 report from Senator Elizabeth Warren's office identified 672 cases in 2022 where top defense companies employed former government officials, military officers, or members of Congress. Here's what that means for your wallet in plain numbers. According to a 2025 analysis by the National Priorities Project, the average taxpayer in 2024 contributed an estimated $3,707 towards militarism and war. Of that, a stunning $1,430 went directly to Pentagon contractors. Think of it as an annual subscription you're forced to pay to a system that often profits from global instability. Money that could have been invested in healthcare, education, or modernizing infrastructure. This can feel overwhelming, and it's easy to feel powerless. But understanding these systems is the first step. If you want to keep digging and learn how to navigate a world of hidden financial forces, take a moment to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We release videos like this every week to help you see how it all really works. Most people assume that when a country goes to war, it raises taxes to pay for it, but that's not how modern conflicts have been funded. For the last several decades, the United States has largely paid for its military operations with debt. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, for instance, were funded almost entirely by borrowing. This has a deep and lasting impact on the nation's finances, and ultimately on you. When the government borrows money, it owes interest. According to the Costs of War project at Brown University, the post-9/11 wars have cost an estimated $8 trillion through 2022, a figure that includes both direct spending and future obligations like veteran care. That borrowing has been a significant driver of the total national debt, which by late 2025 had surpassed a staggering $38 trillion. This isn't just an abstract number. The interest payments on this debt are one of the fastest growing expenses in the federal budget. Money spent servicing debt from past wars is money that cannot be used to fund medical research, repair bridges, or lower your current taxes. It's a financial obligation passed down to you, your children, and your grandchildren. The shocking reality is that you are still paying for wars that ended years or even decades ago. This mountain of debt constrains the government's ability to respond to future crises, whether they are economic downturns or pandemics. It's a financial ghost of past conflicts that haunts the nation's balance sheet and limits our future. America is home to some of the most brilliant minds on the planet. So why does it sometimes feel like our public infrastructure and green energy are lagging? A big part of the answer is an innovation drain. A massive portion of our nation's federal funding for research and development, R&D, is funneled into the defense sector. The Pentagon's budget includes tens of billions for R&D each year, all aimed at creating next-generation fighter jets, hypersonic missiles, and AI-powered surveillance. While some military tech, like GPS and the internet, eventually trickles down to us, the main goal is weapon development, not solving domestic problems. This creates a huge opportunity cost. The country's brightest scientific and engineering minds are often drawn to the high-paying, resource-rich defense industry. It's a brain drain from sectors that could be developing cheaper solar panels or cures for diseases. For instance, the F-35 fighter jet program is projected to cost nearly $2 trillion over its lifetime, according to government watchdogs. Imagine what even a fraction of that could accomplish if it were dedicated to a civilian moonshot, like creating a truly sustainable energy grid. The effect on your wallet is subtle but real. Less competition and innovation in civilian industries can lead to higher prices and lower quality goods. Our reliance on fossil fuels persists, in part because the government's massive R&D engine is geared more toward building better bombers than better batteries. You end up paying for this imbalance with higher bills and slower progress, as our best and brightest are paid with your tax dollars to build tools of war instead of a better future for you. Here is the final and perhaps most disturbing way war money touches your life. There is a powerful and influential sector of our economy for which peace is simply not as profitable. Defense contractors are publicly traded companies. Their primary goal, like any other company, is to deliver returns to their shareholders. And the hard truth is that their stock prices often perform best during times of global tension and conflict. When a new war breaks out, demand for their products, missiles, drones, and ammunition, skyrockets. The conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, for example, have led to tens of billions in new military aid and a surge in arms sales. As one Raytheon CEO bluntly told investors, the war in Ukraine was creating opportunities for international sales. This creates a terrifying incentive. A powerful economic lobby exists that benefits from a state of perpetual tension, if not outright war. From a purely financial perspective, diplomacy and de-escalation can be bad for business. This doesn't mean defense executives are plotting new wars in a secret room. It means a system has been built where their financial interests are directly aligned with global conflict. This market pressure is reflected in Washington. The industry's army of lobbyists pushes for a more militarized foreign policy, arguing for bigger defense budgets and more arms sales. This influence, critics argue, makes it harder for diplomatic solutions to win out and easier for military options to be chosen. For you, the result is a world that is less stable and more dangerous. It's a critical perspective that suggests we are paying for a system that has a built-in financial bias against peace. This fundamental conflict of interest between the public's desire for safety and an influential industry's need for profit is the most shocking hidden cost of all. So let's put it all together. Your grocery bill is connected to a petrodollar system built on military alliances. A hidden war tax takes thousands from the average taxpayer each year to feed corporate contractors. You and your children are saddled with trillions in debt from past conflicts. The nation's brightest minds are pulled away from solving public problems to build weapons. And a powerful market exists that financially benefits from a world on edge. These are not separate issues. They are 5 interconnected parts of a single hidden economic machine, an engine built for war that continues to run in the background, shaping your financial reality in ways you were never meant to see. The point of this isn't to make you feel hopeless, it's to make you aware, because once you see how the machine works, you can never unsee it. And that awareness is the only way to start a real conversation about where our money, your money, truly goes. Thanks for watching.